Hey, Josh Johnson here. Happy Tuesday. Big headlines. Storms return to the state Wednesday night into very early Thursday morning. A shot of cooler air then for Thursday night, and Friday. And then a shot of even colder air early next week, including the chance we have some frost and freeze issues across parts of Alabama. So, to put it mildly, there is a lot to talk about in the world of Alabama weather, isn't there always? So, let's get straight to the maps here. This is the latest run of the RRFS, and as I like to tell you, this model is experimental. It tends to overcook thunderstorms in the longer range, past 36 hours. So when we look at the data together, we'll sort of take it with a grain of salt that it may be a little weaker than what you see there. So this is valid at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, high and dry. Alabama looks good, doesn't it? Montgomery, Birmingham, Monroeville, Selma, Camden, everywhere it's dry. There's a mix of sun and clouds. It's really warm. We're in the 80s, 70s and 80s. Then by late afternoon, we start to see a few scattered showers pop. These are light and initially inconsequential. But you don't have to look too far back to the west to see trouble lurking. Get this big, ugly cluster of thunderstorms along the Mississippi River by 8 o'clock in the evening. Then that's going to race towards the east. One thing we'll start to watch straight out of the gate here is going to be what happens with these cells down here in south central Mississippi. As they get overtaken by the line, there could be some local enhancement of wind shear that would increase a tornado risk in south central Mississippi just after dark tomorrow. Then those storms, like I said, they get overtaken by the line. That line is into North Alabama by 10 and 11 p.m. and then down into it enters west central Alabama sometime around midnight, give or take. And again, understand that the strength of this line is probably a little overdone here in the data, but there's ample evidence in other pieces of data to suggest an intense line of thunderstorms enters the state just after midnight, and then pushes east. What we would be watching for would be within these little storm cores right here, some pockets of damaging wind gust, and there's enough wind shear in this to have at least some tornado risk. We'll look at a forecast sounding. This is northwestern Autauga County at 2 in the morning. And fairly unidirectional wind field, but there is some turning of the wind. And the wind fields are very strong. 70 degrees at 2 in the morning. Surface-based capes over 1,000. You do not have a ton of directional wind shear, but you probably have enough if you were to get the wrong storm in the wrong place at the wrong time to spin up a brief tornado. So it's not an overwhelming risk. It's not a overwhelmingly dangerous setup, but it does bear watching anyway. Okay, that's 2 in the morning. Here's 3. This is now getting into Alex City, Rockford, Wetumpka, Slapout, Prattville, Lounsboro, Autaugaville. It's through Selma, it's through Camden, back out towards Awin, then down into Monroe and Conecuh counties. That's around 3 in the morning, and that's 4 a.m. there. This is now getting over into parts of Tallapoosa, Chambers, Elmore, Macon, Montgomery, Crenshaw, Butler, Covington counties. Strongest of it at this point is down here in South Alabama. Again, the threat here would be about the same in terms of 1 or 2 of these storms could rotate. Damaging wind is possible. The tornado threat is not 0, but it is fairly limited due to the lack of directional wind shear. And when I say that, I hope you know what I'm talking about. See these little lines right here? This is a forecast sounding. This is essentially telling us what the vertical atmosphere is doing. What is the weather doing above our heads? These lines are showing you the direction from which the wind is blowing. So that means southwest, and this would be southwest. Notice how it's essentially southwest from the ground all the way up and well into the sky. But you get each bar is 10 knots of wind speed. So you get up to around 45 knots, fairly low in the sky. That's around a kilometer and a half or so, maybe 2 kilometers up. You get up to 45 knots. So this really looks like a damaging wind sounding from where I sit, right? Not necessarily a big tornado threat, but there is enough in that to have at least some concern for a brief tornado in that line. Again, this would be the middle of the night, 2, 3, 4 in the morning. As far as exit times, we'll go through this. Here's 5 a.m. It's now Florala, Enterprise, Elba, Brundage, Clio, on up towards Auburn, Opelika, and Beauregard. Again, for a lot of you, it's just rain, it's just wind, it's just thunder. But in one or two of these problem spots, we could deal with damaging wind gusts, nickel-sized hail, and a brief tornado risk. Again, this is the dead of the night, Wednesday night into very early Thursday morning. So that's 5 in the morning there. There you see 6 in the morning. This gets into the Wiregrass. So Eufaula, Abbeville, down towards Ozark, Fort Rucker, Geneva, Kinston, Sampson, Dothan around 6 in the morning. So a messy early morning drive in the southeastern corner of the state. We'll pause it there at 7 o'clock Thursday. And what I want to do now is flip you over and show you temperatures, because what will be happening there, as this rain ends around 7 in the morning, we will see a very noticeably colder batch of air that moves into the state. So check this out. So 7 a.m. in Montgomery, it's 60 degrees. Okay, well, watch. 8 a.m., it's 57. 9 a.m., it's 53. It sort of steadies out. By lunchtime, we're in the mid-50s, and I think we'll rebound into the upper 50s and low 60s in the middle of the afternoon. Now, understand, when you look at the 7-day forecast, you're going to see a high of 68 for Thursday. That's because we should be in the upper 60s and low 70s around midnight. So the high temperature for Thursday will happen at 12:01 a.m., and then the temperature will drop through the rest of the day. We'll rebound into the upper 50s and low 60s Thursday afternoon. And then if you've got any sort of practice, baseball, softball, soccer, cheer, whatever, we are dropping through the 50s, and it is windy and cold Thursday night. So if you go out there expecting it to feel the same way it's felt these last few weeks, you are going to unfortunately be in for a very disappointing set of circumstances. It's going to be windy and a lot colder Thursday night. We end up in the low 40s by sunrise on Friday morning. The raw data suggesting we can make it into the upper 30s as far south as parts of northern Chilton, northern Coosa, northern Tallapoosa, northern Chambers counties. Probably warm enough for no frost, but I do think it's a close call north of Highway 22, which is Rockford to Alex City over into Chambers and Randolph counties. So up here north of the line from about Rockford to Dadeville to Lafayette in Chambers, could be some patchy frost up there. Now back to the storm risk in this. This is the Storm Prediction Center's outlook. This is for Wednesday into Thursday morning. They've got a level 2 risk drawn in yellow here that covers almost all of Mississippi, most of North and West Alabama, then a level 1 risk for most of the rest of Alabama. Breaking that down by category, their tornado risk is fairly limited, right? And we know that. We're saying the same thing here. There is a tornado risk in Alabama, but it's limited. The greater risk will occur during the daytime back over southeast Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and southern Arkansas. Then another threat of tornadoes up here along the warm front up in the Ohio Valley. How about that? Then a damaging wind map. Yeah, it's a limited risk for us, a little higher risk up there in the Ohio Valley area, and then large hail, not a terribly huge concern in this whole mix. Okay, so the storms clear out, then we turn colder, right? And then we'll just go fishing into the future here. So this is Friday afternoon. Big low over the Great Lakes, lake effect snow up there. For us, cool, not cold. Highs should be in the upper 60s and low 70s by Friday. Saturday and Sunday, we rebound a bit. We're not in the 80s, though. It will not be as warm Saturday and Sunday as it has been. We're talking highs in the 70s, lows mainly in the 40s and 50s, which is pretty normal for this time of year. Then we get out to a really interesting thing. This is Sunday, March 15th. Got a big, deep surface low over southern Iowa and Arctic air spilling south behind it. Major snowstorm parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan. Some storm risk along the cold front, but the surface low is pretty far to the north, and you sort of get disconnected from the main jet stream dynamics. So a windy, blustery, showery frontal passage is likely by next Sunday night into Monday morning. I'm talking the 15th and 16th of March. And the headliner here becomes the cold air. I'll show you a forecast sounding. This is Tuesday morning off the European computer model. And the raw data here suggests temperatures in the 30s and low 40s with the possibility of frost. And oh, by the way, it's fairly windy as well. No snow issues as we see it right now for us, but the lake effect will go crazy up in the north. And we will get a quick but intense shot of cold air centered on Monday, March 16th and Tuesday, March 17th. Then we start a pretty quick warm up. We warm up for most of that following week. So the week of the 16th starts cold, but it actually warms up pretty substantially as you're going through this. But if you are considering planting anything, don't do it yet, because I think there is a real frost and freeze chance Monday and Tuesday of next week. Again, the 16th and 17th of March. After that, I think our odds get better. I think, climatology and history tells us if you can make it to April 1st, the odds of a frost go way down. They don't go to zero, but they do go way down. So that's how we'll sort of play that. I would advise against planting anything that can be ruined by a frost just yet. Wait a little longer. Here's the raw data on those temperatures. This is the operational run of the European model, and look at that. I mean, it has highs in the 50s, Monday the 16th, Tuesday the 17th, and overnight temperatures in the low 40s. That would be just warm enough for no frost, but remember, that's valid at Montgomery. So if you live at Clanton, Rockford, Alex City, Auburn, Opelika, some of those normally colder pockets could be closer to frost issues early next week. This is also one single individual model run. Here's the choir approach. This is the European ensemble, and interestingly, it's actually colder than the operational run. The ensemble mean gets us down to 37 on the morning of Tuesday, March 17th, and 39 Wednesday, March 18th. This can and probably will change, but there's enough agreement in the data here to where I think we need to raise the red flag up about the possibility of some frost and freeze concerns coming into Alabama March 16th, 17th, and maybe the 18th. So that first half of next week. And then we warm up. You go out in the long range there by March 20th, 21st, 22nd. You're back up in the 70s as spring break begins for a lot of you. So hopefully we get our cold spell out of the way the week before spring break, and then it'll warm up a little for everyone enjoying those vacations. All right, I'm going to wind this down. As always, thanks so much for watching. I would encourage you to follow me on all the socials. I'm on Facebook at Josh Johnson WSFA. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok as Josh Johnson Weather, and I'm on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, as Josh Weather. I would also encourage you download the WSFA First Alert Weather app and watch. We'll be on live TV tonight at 5. I'll actually be on at 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10 tonight. So I would encourage you to, if you're near a TV or you want to stream our newscast, do that. And that way we can all hang out a little longer. All right, everyone. Hope you all have a great Tuesday. Take care. We'll talk again soon.